It is day 2 of NFL free agency, and the Baltimore Ravens have done nothing. But could that change? On today's episode, we're going to be breaking down some Cooper Kupp rumors. A couple of NFL analysts have mentioned him as a possibility of a perfect fit with the Baltimore Ravens, and that's what we're talking about today. Before that, let's catch you up on everything. It's not a long list. In fact, it's about as short as a list could be, because so far, Ronnie Stanley, 3 years, $60 million deals, $44 million guaranteed. I love that they locked him down. Really pumped with this move. And I told you guys on Sunday and on Saturday that because of this, Baltimore probably wasn't going to do much. So far, I've been right, but maybe I'm wrong with Cooper Kupp. Before I get into a little bit more on Cooper Kupp, I need you to show your support because my sister just had a baby this morning. I've got a brand new nephew, so do me a favor. Go ahead and hit that thumbs up button, like the video to show her congrats and to show her a little bit of love. Super pumped about it. New addition to the family, new Baltimore Ravens fan, if you want to look at it that way. So Adam Schefter tweeted this out yesterday evening, saying the Rams are planning to release Cooper Kupp after the start of the new league year unless a trade materializes. And I just want to talk on that first because I can really see this happening. Okay, Cooper Kupp, he has been on the trade block for a while now. It's almost been probably Jack, a month and a half since that news originally came out that the Rams are going to be doing anything they could to trade him. And there's a reason he hasn't been traded for, and that's because I believe. His contract, how much you have to pay him, even if the Rams do eat a little bit of it. And number 2, he just has really struggled to stay healthy. And I think when people look at those two things combined, they don't necessarily want to add those together. You don't want to pay a guy a decent bit of money, especially when he can't get on the field. But how does he fit with the Baltimore Ravens? Well, NFL analyst Mac Ross said this on NFL Network yesterday. With a young Flowers, with a young Bateman, with a young Likely, and of course, we know that King Henry's bringing in Lamar, Cooper Kupp would seem to be that final piece to give them something completely different than what they have. Maybe the best offense in the league to take that to a whole other level. And I love that Mac added that in there at the end, saying that this was already maybe the best offense in the National Football League. And if you add Cooper Kupp, you only get better because you're not adding one of the same. I think Cooper Kupp gives you something totally different as a wide receiver on this team. I think he'd be a really great fit. I'll talk about that more in just a little bit, but I've talked enough already for the first 3 minutes. I want to hear you guys talk to me. Should the Ravens try to land Cooper Kupp, whether it's by trade or waiting until he gets released and by signing him? Let me know in the comment section down below by giving me a yes or a no. So when I look at the Ravens wide receiver depth chart right now, outside of Zay Flowers and Rashad Bateman, there's little to be desired in my opinion, okay? Deontay Hardy really didn't play at all this last year. He's a UFA. Tylan Wallace showed flashes. I think he could be a solid wide receiver 4, but right now you need somebody outside of Zay Flowers and outside of Rashad Bateman to be a solid pass catcher in this offense, especially because there's a chance that Mark Andrews isn't on this team in 2025, and so you need someone just to replace his production. Likely is a good option to do that, but I don't want to just bank on Likely to step up and get 14 touchdowns in a year, and I think Kupp would fit perfectly in that wide receiver room. I've talked a lot over the last couple of months about how I want this team to add a big-bodied wide receiver. No, Cooper Kupp isn't that. I think you look at that in the draft now because what's available in free agency is not really, tickling my fancy, I should say. There's not a ton of big body wide receivers that I'd be willing to pay a decent bit of money. So I would settle for the size of Kupp because of what he could bring, okay? I got 3 reasons why you should add Kupp. Number 1, he'd be a veteran presence, okay? Zay Flowers and Rashad Bateman, those are 2 very young wide receivers, okay? Cooper Kupp's a guy who's been in this league a long time. He's seen the highs. He's seen the lows, okay? He has been a really, wide receiver 4, not a great option type receiver in the beginning of his career. And he's also won the Triple Crown, almost caught for 2,000 yards and won a Super Bowl. He's seen everything. And speaking of that stat line, he's a proven wide receiver one. Think of that Super Bowl against Cincinnati, okay? They won that game because Cincinnati just couldn't stop Kupp. They probably made it to the Super Bowl because no teams could stop Kupp. When Matthew Stafford, when there ever was a down, when there ever was a time that this team needed some yardage, needed to move the sticks, Kupp was the guy he went to. And I know he's been hurt a lot over the last couple of years. I still think he could be that guy. And because of those injuries, that gets you to number 3. You could get him at a reduced cost. If you don't trade for him, if you wait for him to be released, which I think is going to happen, I don't think he'd be very expensive. Okay? I really don't. You don't have a ton of money, but what you do have, I think adding Kupp and spending it on Kupp, right? Ronnie Stanley's new contract doesn't give you many on the cap hits, right? I think it's only like $8 million this year of a cap hit, maybe even 5, and then it's 8 next year. Regardless, adding Cooper Kupp, using that money you have left in cap space, maybe making a couple moves to give you a little bit more, I think would be a really, really great play. Coming up, we got some Ravens free agency tracker items to get to. I'm going to give you the lowdown on everything that happened for Baltimore with people leaving and the one person signing. But before that, I got to let you know about this awesome deal going on Fanatics right now. You can get this Ravens polo for 40% off. Okay, chatsports.com/Ravens Polo. That's the link you got to go to. Gray, super sleek, super classy. Ravens logo was $55. Now it's only $33. Can't tell you how awesome it is to find a deal like this, a shirt like this, for only $33. You can't find that anywhere. So chatsports.com/Ravens Polo. Of course, that link is going to be in the comments and description of today's video. So we're going to start with the signings, and we've already talked about this, and we talked about it a few days ago, a decent bit already on this channel. They've only made one move so far. They've kind of been sitting on their hands, which I have mixed feelings on, okay? In the one sense, I'm like, okay, I think that's good because this free agency class is not that great, and people are getting paid a lot of money that I don't know if they deserve that much money because teams are just so desperate. But also, I don't love seeing your bitter rival in the Steelers go out and add 2 guys in DK Metcalf and a Darius Slay that I think would have been great fits in Baltimore. So that's the only thing you've done, but you have lost a good amount of people. Some of these guys we've already talked about, some of these guys we haven't, okay? Patrick Mekari, he signed with the Jacksonville Jaguars. Brandon Stevens, praise the Lord, he signed with the New York Jets. Malik Harrison follows Patrick Queen. I almost said Roquan Smith. Follows Patrick Queen and is now a Pittsburgh Steeler. So he's no longer, you know what, just you can go ahead and forget about Malik Harrison if you move to Pittsburgh. Chris Board also signed with the New York Giants. It's obvious there will be an opening, a gap in that linebacker position. I expect them to possibly do something about that in free agency, most likely in the draft. And then the most recent one, Josh Jones, the offensive tackle, late last night signed with the Seattle Seahawks, a 1-year, $4.75 million deal. Let's talk about some free agents that I was targeting that ended up elsewhere. Okay, Josh Sweat, defensive end with the Philadelphia Eagles. He signed a 4-year, $76.4 million deal with the Arizona Cardinals. That averages out to be around $19 million a year. That's about $1 million above what PFF was projecting. I would have paid Josh Sweat that money. I would have done that in a heartbeat. Obviously, with the Ronnie Stanley signing, that didn't let that happen, but still, Josh Sweat goes to Arizona. DJ Reed, a cornerback from New York. We've been talking about him for a very, very long time. He signed with the Detroit Lions, 3 years, $48 million, $32 million of that guarantee. Shout him out for me in the comment section down below. Name a player you want Baltimore to sign. Okay, of all the available free agents right now, who's your guy? Shout them out. Let me know. Get creative. Give me a name I'm not even thinking of right now. As always, thanks so much for checking out the video, ladies and gentlemen. We are here for any breaking news that happens. As of right now, we're kind of just waiting for something to happen. Of course, we're going to be live later today, 5 p.m. Eastern time. Make sure you check it out. Come hang out with Jack and myself. We got a lot of free agency news to dive into. We'll do a couple of segments, take a couple of questions. It'll be a great time. Don't miss it. And to make sure you don't, hit that sub button.